Hello and welcome to King of the Ring fully upgraded version. Now if you want to see how to do this event cheaper, click on the link that's right in the top right hand corner right now. That's where I show you how you can earn this car cheap. And I show you two different ways you can earn it actually. So that's going to have longer races. This is different. This is the fully upgraded version where I'm going to be playing by the rules, so no cutting. I'm not going to be doing a lot of like smashing people out of my way, stuff like that. I might have a little bit of fun, but for the most part, I'll be making sure that I win clean. For instance, even this race, like Magnus is way out there. I didn't try winning this in my other video because you don't have to. And there's bot slowing, there's bot management, there's all sorts of things you need to do to earn this car as cheap as possible. Now that brings us to an interesting question, and that is, how much does it cost to fully upgrade this car? Well, from scratch, you're going to need $2,938,800 R dollars, 1,185 gold. By the way, check this out. Watch this finish. Huge glass. Look at this. If you hit a wall, that's tail light glass, guys. If you hit a wall hard enough, your tail lights explode, even though you have a front end collision. It's hilarious. So I would not fully upgrade this car right off the start. I would upgrade it only as much as you need to, and then wait for a sale. That's the best thing to do, is to just wait for an upgrade sale. It is, like you can see, it's a little expensive to fully upgrade this car. Not horrible, definitely not as bad as some. The last engine upgrade on the Porsche 919 Hybrid Evo alone is 1,310 gold for one upgrade. But that's extreme. That's one of the most expensive cars in the game, and one of the most amazing. So, like I said, we're going to fly through this all really fast. I'm going to win by massive amounts, way more than what's required, and I might do some nasty stuff, like for instance, at the end of this race, I'm going to make it so my car goes flying into a wall. It happens right after the start-finish line, so you don't actually get damaged for that. And like I said, we're flying through these screens pretty fast. We're skipping loading screens. We're skipping a lot of stuff. Now watch this. There, I finally get control before I exit the bus stop, which is great because the game does the bus stop horribly. It does a horrible job driving the bus stop. That's why it's so easy to make games at Porsche Test Track, is because of two sections. So now this time, oh boy, I'm sliding that around, aren't I? I haven't driven this car for a long time. I've got it fully upgraded. I've had it for quite a while. I just haven't driven it. So I'm not quite sure my braking points and my acceleration points. So we're going to be a little bit sloppy here off the start, drifting that corner, but it's going to get a lot cleaner. I really want to hunt Magnus down. The way I'm going to catch Magnus is the next series of corners. So not this. Hairpins, the bots do actually pretty good. It's this chicane. The bots take the chicane so bad, and we can just blast through it like that. That wasn't off track. Everything you saw me doing there, it looked like I was off track. Nope. And then this is the bus stop. Ooh, I got kind of sideways there. That's a left, then a right, then a right, then a left. But honestly, you just take it as one big, slight right-hand turn, and that's the fastest way through it. That's what you want to do. And no dramatic finish to this one because it's the full circuit. All right. And we're going to, like I said, we're flying through this fast. By the way, pay attention there. A lot of people don't notice that the VP rewards happen after every stage, even when this is the flashback version. So I've had several people comment in the past saying, how come I didn't get the full VP? You'll notice at the end of this video, it's probably going to be 1,000 VP. I actually don't remember, but we'll get there. And sometimes people think they got ripped off. No, you didn't get ripped off. You receive a VP every single stage automatically. Other people say, I can't find the VP. Where do I go to collect it? You've already got it. You get it automatically. So some people just aren't paying attention to the screens, and that's okay. I get that. Kind of just zip through these things fast and zip, zip, zoom. Getting along fast. This is an interesting track. I'm going to throw up a link for an endurance video in a Nissan Skyline, the really old one. A lot of people have trouble with that one. Some people can't even get 8 kilometers in that. And I went 16, I believe. So there's some tricks you got to use, clock management technique, and a few little stunts you can use to extend your distance. Careful planning. So not really anything crazy acrobatic-wise, but definitely knowing your race lines, braking points definitely helps, and I cover all that in that video. Obviously, these early races are quite easy, although a lot of people were having trouble with this. This is a challenging race. I mean, I did this with substantially fewer upgrades. I shouldn't say a lot of people were having trouble. A handful of people were having trouble with this race. I did it with way less upgrades. It might even be possible to do this with no upgrades, but there's no use doing that because you definitely need decent upgrades to advance through this event. And more on that in the, like I said, if you want to see my original playlist link for how I did this, spending 120 gold in total because you get back 80. So that's the cheapest way I could do it, and I thought that was pretty good. So for the most part, we're doing this full race just because it's not a very long one. But some of the other races that are quite long, you're going to notice that we're really just going to skip a lot of it, unless it's important, and then I won't. But for a lot of it, we'll be doing skipping through. This is such a fast race because there's just the laps go by so fast because it's short track. This track is a tricky track. This variant is probably my least favorite, mainly because of this corner right here, and then you got this, oh, well, right there. That's part of the reason why. It's you bang into walls. It's a very difficult track to overtake at, although I'm a lot better at it than I used to be. Used to have a lot of trouble here. I'm a lot better racer than I used to be. Haven't raced on this track for a long time. Okay, and like I said, zipping through these screens very fast. Hunter event, and already the distance is, I think I got it down to 51 meters, yes, in my other video. And I'm not going to do any slowing in this one. I want it to actually be as long as possible. I'm trying to make this as difficult for myself as possible. That's why I'm winning by big amounts and driving fast, and we'll just see what that's all like. So overtaking 3 times and still hitting this distance, I don't know, shouldn't be a problem. I was way off my braking point, which I didn't realize until I hit the corner. So I had a hucker way sideways, and then I went on the inside there and I lost more time. So I'm making multiple mistakes that have hurt me this stage. That were not off track. You can do that in a time trial. I would have been disqualified for so far though because I did an inside cut by accident. Ooh, and that's way off. Obviously you can see I'm still honing in this car, and so once I adapt to the handling of this car, you'll notice that I won't be making mistakes on other tracks, because even there I'm taking mental notes going, oh, okay, I couldn't get on the gas as early as I thought, or oh, I should have been on the brakes earlier. So I just adjust for that for the next track. When it comes to braking points, some people think you have to learn every single track and every single car. It's not really true. You kind of have your rough braking points that you use all the time, and then you tweak them for each different car. So it is different for every car, but it's the same basic points, and then you just tweak them a little bit. So that's why I'm able to learn a little bit here at Nürburgring and apply that to a different track and not make a bunch of mistakes, which you will see. Ooh, tag that wall a little bit. But that's a very little consequence. Inconsequential, I think is what I'm trying to say. Yes. And there we go, more VP rewards. You don't get the gold until the very end in this particular one. Now we are at Monza Junior, and I'm going to do this differently. I think I can drive up through the middle and be in first place by the first corner. Can't do this with low upgrades, but scrape by. Ooh, I didn't even go off. Woo, almost got tagged there. Didn't even go off track. Not much of a problem at all. And we're gonna zip through this. It's a fun track. Monza Junior is one of my favorite online multiplayer tracks. It's short, and I'm usually decent at it. I don't mind some of the longer tracks. Actually, I love Le Mans when it comes to online multiplayer as well, because I generally do pretty good versus the competition. It's a longer track, but actually 3 laps here is similar. Well, not as long as a 1 lap at Le Mans. In most cars, you're going to be around 3 minutes on average, whereas 3 laps here, you're not 3 minutes. It's not a minute per lap, so it goes by pretty fast. It's a fun, Parabolica's a fun corner. Hard to really master it, but certainly a nice corner where you can find an awful lot of speed. This might be one of the only races we do all of it, because it is shorter. So I just decided, I'll leave in the 2 full laps. Why not? And you can see it. This one we're going to cut down a little. Oh, this one we won't cut down because this is already really short. I like how in this event you start to get compound stages. So eventually it's going to be like an autocross with a average speed requirement, which is very strange but interesting. And oh yeah, I didn't mention this. There's timestamp links, so you can hunt around. A little comment though was at the beginning there saying there's timestamp links. So for people who are having trouble at certain stages, that will help them out. Because I know some people have trouble even fully upgraded. And that's really just because they just don't know the tracks very well. But there are some stages that, oopsie. Well, I just got thrown back to 5th place in no time at all. There are some tracks that if you're not familiar with them, if you don't have a lot of experience, then it is difficult. Now this one, pretty simple. I've got to be in 1st place at the beginning of the next lap, get overtaken, and then win the race. So I'll let you see all that, but we're going to skip a lap of this one. And when I do skips, I'm going to make it obvious. I was going to do seamless transitions, but that can actually get confusing for people. So I'll do a little bit of a kind of a screen warping effect so you can tell that we've skipped ahead. That way it won't be confusing. I'll let this guy overtake me a little bit. Come on, where'd you go? On that throttle. And get the lead back. And it's tempting to give him a pit maneuver, but I won't do it. In fact, I won't even nudge him like I often do. And I will let him stay close on my tail. We're going to warp ahead here in just a bit as we're exiting Parabolica. This is Parabolica, very huge corner, one of the biggest corners in the game, I would think. We're warping ahead right here. So there we go, big warp. I was catching lapped cars, and boom, crash right at the end. That's hilarious. And win that one. I'll just win everything. I don't really care what it says. I'm just going to win everything because I want to win everything. Okay, so this was hard. In my, actually this wasn't too hard. There's so many laps here. We're only going to do 1 lap actually. With low upgrades, you can still hit speed at 2 sections of this track with just $R upgrades. So that's all tier 1. You can still hit speed at 2 different points on this track. But these upgrades, I can hit speed at 3 different points, maybe even 4. But definitely 3, because I'm about to do that. In this first lap, I'll reach all my speed targets. And you do have to be careful in some of the chicanes here, where it counts off track. It's a little aggressive, but that's okay. Old school events, that's the way they are. Is off track meant off track. Instant fail, generally, when you go off track in these old school events. Okay, so I'm going to hit speed once here, and then there you go, with no trouble at all. I'll hit speed again on the back section here after this chicane, the awesome chicane. And then I'll hit speed again after Parabolica. Hitting speed quite early here, way earlier than I did with low upgrades. And then after I hit speed, right after I hit speed, we're going to warp ahead and it'll just conclude. So hitting speed very quickly here. There we go, and warping. And there we go, we just skipped 3 laps. And there's not much to see. Again, go watch the other video if you want to see more on how to do this with low upgrades. Now, Hockenheimring. Hockenheimring can be a bit of a fun track. Again, we're not going to do all of the stuff, or sometimes we might fast forward a little bit. It's just, some of it's just so easy, and when you're fully upgraded, it's very easy. This track can be a little bit tricky for people. I'm going to get under this guy though, and whoop, oh, that's a tight squeeze, isn't it? But it's just fine. So I'm already in the lead. And funny thing with elimination races, all of them are basically the same. All of them are basically 140 seconds long. By the way, look at this, full throttle. You can just keep it pinned. So that's kind of cool. And just letting you see some of how I race this, just so it's not just, you can learn a little bit from what I'm doing here. And there's a section here that is not off track, and that is this. So you can use that on average speed races. Speaking of speed, let's throw it into 4 times regular speed. That looks crazy, but kind of cool. And we're just going to blast through this really fast. Boy, that looks crazy, doesn't it? But we've got 140 seconds to finish off here. Now, coming up in a little bit, we'll pull out of this 4 times regular speed bit into my donuts. Let's do donuts until the clock runs out. It's not really all that risky because I have such a gargantuan lead that it just doesn't matter. Oh, this will be interesting if he pulls out. Oh, pulls out nice and clean. Looks like I planned it. I didn't plan that. It's just the way it worked. All right, another Hockenheim Ring race, and it's an interesting track. I've got a Group A time at this track this week. It might actually be this variant. Is it this variant? I think it is this variant. Average speed race. There are definitely people who have trouble with the average speed races here. One trick I used with lower upgrades is I went backwards for a bit, and I heard reports you can go back further than I did if you want to limit your big lead, but still, I didn't go backwards at all this time because I don't care about having a massive lead. I don't mind at all. Oh yes, this is that exact variant. So I'll throw up that link too. If you want tips on how to improve on this week's time trial, they will only apply to the Alfa Romeo this week. This week the cars are so different. It's kind of interesting how it worked that way. I think they were mainly looking at the PR, but the Lamborghini Diablo is just a horrible car. Some of the worst braking in the game. Really, to be competitive in that car, you have to drift. There's really no other way to do it, but the Alfa Romeo is a kind of a fun car. It doesn't have good acceleration or top speed, but it's got great grip, so it's actually a really balanced car. It's a fun car to drive. And I had to work on that, but I got a Group A time, which some people don't know when it comes to weekly time trial tournaments. That means you're in the top 0.1%. So not the top 1%, 10 times less of a group. A lot harder than Group A in the regular part of the game. So everything is decreased by a percentage point. So Group B in the regular part of the game is going to be the top, you know what, I forget if it's the top 5 or 10%. Group B in weekly time trials is top 1%. Anyway. Okay, and this one is hitting a certain speed, and I had trouble with this one. I had to throw it sideways. Some people say you don't have to. I guess that it means that they probably set up the run better than I did, and so they didn't have to go into the antics I did to pull this off. And you can pass on. There's lots of this track that isn't off track. It's kind of surprising. So here I'm really not setting up my speed run. And again, I'm still kind of figuring out my braking. Ooh, and I got tangled up with him. Still figuring out my braking points for this car, not entirely sure. And so it became obvious here that I was on the brakes too late because I'm flying by these guys. So I thought, okay, no problem, let's throw it to a slide. Maybe didn't have to, but it's safer that way. I think with this one, we're gonna skip a lap. No reason to do the whole thing. So yeah, I'll skip a lap. And we'll warp ahead here at the end. Right away here, we'll actually do a little bit of a warp. This is full throttle, even fully upgraded. It's kind of cool. Definitely have to brake for this right here, but almost every single car you would have to do that. Let's see, VW, IDR you wouldn't have to. Yeah, not too many other cars. Okay, and you can go way out over here if you want to. We've already warped ahead, what you saw. I try to make those warps really obvious. And there we go. That is going to finish up that stage. Again, we're going by very fast here, flying through the days. Red Bull Ring. So this race you don't have to win. Let's just see if I can. Some pretty fast cars at the front of this race. The difficulty is braking this first corner because I got 2 tires off track. So you got to get on those brakes really early because this is a very sharp. Ooh, that was close. This is a very sharp corner. I don't think I'm allowed to slide. I better be careful. Okay, so there's one Bugatti. There's a Vulcan, I believe. Yes, that's an Aston Martin Vulcan. And there's another Bugatti. So I can get on the inside of him here. Mr. Chen. Not very difficult, as you can see. Not difficult to win this race. It was a lot more difficult with lower upgrades. But maybe that was even possible. Oh well. There we go. You don't want to win it if you don't have to. Fully upgraded, who cares? This one, no skidding and no off. No, some skidding, some off track. That's what the counters are for. It's kind of weird how they do these sometimes. But anyway, or is this the one where I have? Oh, this is the one where I have to. Sorry, guys, I'm saying this the wrong way. Either 3 seconds of off track or 2 seconds of skidding. Right. So I was gonna drift the next corner. That's my plan, is to drift it. And then I made a mistake. I just started my drift. It just dug in. It's such a grippy car. So there we go. Get in a bit of a slide. And yeah, obviously not difficult. Not even difficult with low upgrades. Okay, so this one again. It's kind of funny how these speed snaps work. I don't know why they sometimes don't just use the start-finish line, because you're so close to the start-finish line. Why not? But they just don't. And again, this is not difficult regardless of how many upgrades you have. I didn't find this difficult, maybe with no upgrades, but you definitely want to add at least $R upgrades as soon as possible. And then this is the really long race. We are definitely skipping chunks of this. I'm going to finish this race as fast as possible. So I ground on him a little bit to slow him down. I didn't want to do the pit maneuver, because that's actually going to slow me down as well. But in my other video, I suggested dragging the race out as long as possible. So really, if you want to do good bot management, you want to take this to almost 10 full laps. You got to pass a lap. The second you pass the lap car, the race ends. So you really do, the best thing you could do is go the 10 full laps. I didn't in my original video, so that just told the computer, the AI, that I finished this race in a ridiculous time, because it just gives you first place. No matter where you are, it's going to give you first place and end the race right when you finish. So it's going to say, oh, by the way, we just warped ahead. So for instance, watch this. As soon as I pass this lap guy, we haven't even completed 3 laps yet. And it's going to say that I did 10 laps in that fast, which is not good for bot management. Okay, so we are back at Silverstone. This race, very easy race. I shouldn't say we're back at Silverstone. We're at Silverstone. Multiple variants, I like that. We're definitely going to not do this whole race because it would just be boring. Although I wonder if I could... No, I wouldn't be able to lap him in 3 laps. No way. No way. Not going to happen. But I do... there's no challenge here. This is very easy. Now, if you're not familiar with this, watch where I drive right here. You can drive there during a time trial. You've got to do stuff like that if you really want to maximize your lap times. Time trials, or even endurance racing. It's a really good overtaking zone because the bots will never drive there. So that's why you have to know where is and where is not off track. All right. So obviously we've skipped ahead. I'm not doing this whole thing. That would get very lengthy. Let's move forward. A provocation. So this one, we're going to do the whole thing. This was impossible with low upgrades without cutting. Like huge cuts. Even then, then I had, I think, an extra 5 seconds. Maybe 4 seconds. So I'm not going to do any cutting though. Not totally sure. This car is ridiculously fast. I don't know if you've noticed that. The top speed on this car is insane. It's shocking actually. But that's just the way it is. So I'm not 100% sure the best place to be braking in this variant, in this car, because it's such a monstrous... Ooh! Well, that's not good. That's going to slow me down a little bit, isn't it? Because let's just see. Well, my windshield didn't seem cracked. However, I might still have a damaged bumper. Sometimes you get performance-reducing damage without getting a smashed windshield. Not very often, but it happens. So we'll just see how this goes. I'm not going to cut, like I said. I'm not going to do any cutting or any crazy stuff. We're just going to do this on the up and up and see what it's like. This one definitely would be a challenge, even at recommended PR. It's, I think they messed up on the time requirement here. Because these are designed so that a reasonably skilled racer could do these with moderate assists on. So steering assist low, and maybe traction control. Honestly, any brake assist at all is really going to hurt you in this game. It does not help you one bit. But anyway, they designed these so that if you're at recommended PR, you could still have some assists on and finish. This particular stage, this particular race, I would question that. My clock's running down awful fast. I'm lapping people, which is very surprising. But look, 10 seconds. It's surprising to me. I thought I would have been finishing faster than this. Like 5? Yeah. To me, that's surprising. But, okay. Ooh, I'm surprised the AI let me crash. Huh. Oh well. Kind of funny. And this one. Time isn't going to be the problem at all, really. It's a speed requirement. This was a lot different with lower upgrades. There was only one spot on the track I could hit speed. I was faster heading into Beckett's complex than I was heading into Stowe. And I think it'll be different with higher upgrades. Let's just see. I'm not going to drive it super deep. I might not be able to because this car is so much faster than my last video because this one's fully upgraded and it's just shockingly fast. So I don't think in that video I was doing the S's section coming up soon with just one braking point. I'm pretty sure I'm going to have to use 2 for this version of the car. But we'll just see. So right here is where I set up my speed run in my other video. And we'll just see. Oh my, I'm going to hit speed very quickly. In fact, I think my speed target is lower. So let's talk about that. I'm going to hit more speed going to Stowe, I think. Let's talk about that. So the game is designed to reward you when you buy upgrades. Those rewards are lower targets and easier bots. So if you're trying to do this with lower upgrades, it's going to give you more difficult targets because they're trying to get you to spend money. Is the one way to look at it. Or the other way to look at it is they reward you for having upgrades. So the reward of having a higher upgraded car is easier targets. So it's very strange how it works. It makes sense though, from their perspective, I get it. So you get a double whammy. When you buy upgrades, you get a better car and things get a little bit easier. Now this one, not much of a challenge here at all. There's me smashing Magnus off track. After you smash Magnus off track, do not let anyone else pass you, okay? So you got to stay in second for the whole first lap. You smash him off track in the second lap. Don't let anyone else pass you. Even if you want to play with them, goof around and throw them off track, you will fail. We're going to warp ahead to the end here. That's the only way you can pass. And I've heard other people saying the same thing. They were getting fails because they were letting Magnus pass them and smash them a second time. It doesn't work. Okay, here is where people are having some trouble. And again, we're not going to do too much of a full lap, so I'll do a little bit. So this time around, wasn't quite sure of exactly how hard I could push this car. So I'm not going to get too crazy here my first time around. Especially since I've got 2 cars right in my acceleration zone. Mr. Koenigsegg and Mr. Magnus. So hopefully I can overtake him here. Nice. It's possible I could stay full throttle getting onto the Mulsanne straight here. Not quite sure. I lifted a bit there because I'm not sure. Don't really want to go flying way off track. It might not be necessary. Am I going to hit 400 in this thing? Gosh, I think so. Oh my. That's pretty crazy. That's pretty crazy hitting 400 kilometers in a car like this. 400 kilometers an hour. Now this and this, it's not off track. So people who are having trouble, maybe you're not utilizing that. Or you're probably substantially overbraking. And you need to take the straightest path you can through these chicanes so you can keep your speed up. We're getting to the average speed race here shortly. That's where I've encountered some people having trouble there. Ooh, I didn't take that very good. The second Mulsanne chicane. And then we're getting to the back chicane. I forget what it's called, but I forgive me. Hopefully you do too. And yeah, you can see here that it's... Here I'm not making a lot of mistakes because I've already made mental notes based on how this car was handling other tracks. So I've made mental notes that I need to be braking a little bit earlier. I'm definitely braking way earlier than I was in my other car. Meaning with less upgrades because I had more speed-focused upgrades on that car, not as much grip. Sorry, I'm saying this the opposite way around. I've got more speed in this car, more speed upgrades, because I do. That's the way the car works. It gets substantially faster as you buy more upgrades. And it's got good brakes, it's just, this is a really fast car. So the brakes aren't enough to keep up with it. Okay, so heading into Porsche curves here. Some of these races you can take off-track cuts, but like I said at the beginning of this video, I'm not doing that. I'm showing how to do this without any cutting at all, just so people can see that it's possible. Every single special event like this, every single recommended PR event, I always encounter people who are fully upgraded and can't do it. And I will say that that one race we did where I only had about 2.5 seconds left, that surprised me. I was expecting to have more time. I would say I really wasn't optimizing. Like, I would say I could have easily had that done maybe 6, probably 10 seconds more, 2 or 3 seconds a lap. What you just saw me do through the chicane is not off track. So you might think it was not off track. Now I think this is the average speed race, is it not? Where's the indicator? Oh, it doesn't appear till the race starts. All right. So I'm going to be very careful. Everything you see, you could do in a time trial. Everything I'm going to do. I'm going to try to get around this as fast as I can. Ooh, that's not good. But I think I got away with it without being damaged. Very nice, very nice. Oh, that's on track. Again, I'm not 100% sure. I'm feeling like I could probably keep it full throttle getting onto the Mulsanne straight, but I'm not going to do it this time either. I'm getting a little braver though. Well, you know what? Next race I'm going to test that out because that actually felt pretty easy. So pretty soon, I should be hitting that average speed probably pretty soon because this thing's going like 410, 411, I think. I mean, come on, that's pretty crazy. Already hitting average speed. Blast through the chicane. Do I lose my average speed? I do not. In fact, it might stay. I might keep my average speed up for the entire rest of this race because that's, this is just so fast. It's just when I get to the back section, the Porsche curves, that's where we're going to be getting into lower speeds. But here, there's so much speed. Look at this. All of that's on track, okay? Including pay very close attention to what's going to happen at this next corner here. I'm going to take my left sides over into the gravel. Doesn't matter. So watch this. I'm going to take my lefts way into the gravel here. And that is not off track. Neither is driving here. So very important to know all that for when you're trying to maximize your race times and your average speed. You can see my average speed is getting quite high. And right at the start-finish line, I'll do a freeze frame right before I cross the start-finish line so you can see how much speed I actually did manage to gather. How much average speed. Okay, getting to that section where I'm going to be going a lot slower. Oop, little bit loosey-goosey there. Still not that much of a big deal. This is where I'm going to be braking pretty deep. I think I'll wait till I get past the second distance marker on your left there. 1, 2, braking pretty deep. So still keeping quite a lot of speed going. So, I mean, it makes sense, right? Porsche curves, this thing should be fast. It's a Porsche. It's got to handle those Porsche curves. And then a lot of braking for the last chicane. But I'm going to try to do just one braking zone and then acceleration. The second part of the last chicane, you can really cut this without it actually being off track. So this, none of that's off track. A little freeze frame, 270 was the requirement, and I'm 287.3. So quite a lot over, keeping it all on track the entire race. So there you go. Hope you find that helpful. This one, we're going to skip this entire race. Way too stinking easy. There we go. End of the race. I mean, just stay in the lead the whole time. Very easy with these upgrades and keeping it all on track. As you can see, it's easy to do that. And this one, I will do the full lap. It is only one lap, so yeah, might as well. Very challenging with low upgrades. This was where I had to add a little bit of extra upgrades on my other video. That's because there's only one place I can hit speed, and you have to hit it twice in that one section. There's a little trick to that. Once you hit speed, you've got to decelerate a certain amount or coast. Your speed has to get lower, and then you can hit it again. Now I'm going to push this a little bit further, getting onto the Mulsanne straight here. I'm going to do an extremely shortened micro lift. Check it out. There, that was a fraction of a second. Still no problem. So next race, we're going to see what that's like full throttle. I just won't lift. Really careful with your race line, but I think it's possible full throttle. So we're going to test that out on the next race. We'll just see what this is like. Like I said, flying through this very quickly. Woo! All of that was on track. You could do that in a time trial. I do it in online multiplayer. I do it all the time. In fact, the first chicane of the Mulsanne Straight, what we just went through, that's where I gain on the competition and online multiplayer almost all the time. Almost everybody. I beat almost everybody there, which is interesting. There's actually times I've encountered really good time trial drivers in online multiplayer and I've beaten them. Now, I'm not the best, for sure, but it is interesting. With a time trial, you can give it 300 tries if you want to. And as long as you get one good run in, that's all that matters. Online multiplayer, if you smash into a wall badly, you're gonna get hurt. It's gonna hurt your points. Now, my first couple of races in online multiplayer during the week, I can get away with a crash or something because usually the competition is, usually they're guys who cars aren't upgraded or, stuff like that. But later on, you start to encounter the difficult people. I can get up to 1,000 points really fast, then it starts to get difficult. There are some really good racers out there. So it can be, I kind of like it. It's one of the challenges of the game. It's basically you just drive a really good time trial in online multiplayer. By the way, one interesting thing with online multiplayer that some people don't know, there's a tiny bit of inside off-track allowed. Very, very tiny bit. You can get away with a little bit here and there. I found that interesting. So they have a tiny bit of grace. Not much, but it's there. Now, again, I'm just blasting this. You can see I'm getting massive leads on the competition. Blasting through this really fast. I'm going to push the chicane a little bit more maybe, but not hard to be under 3 minutes from a dead stop. This was a dead start. And yeah, that's pretty good. So I think that's going to wrap up stage 7 for us. Head over to stage 8 and back at Porsche test track. Not sure which variant this is, if this is the short or the long. Sometimes I don't pay attention to the intro screens and that gets me in trouble. This is short, which is a fun variant. A bit of an acrobatic track, meaning you end up twisting your device quite a lot for this section. This is a section where I'm not good, actually. In online multiplayer, people tend to catch up to me there, but then at this chicane, I tend to drive off on people. And also at the bus stop. Do quite good there. That time I was deciding to smash him up a little bit. Here's the bus stop, and like I said, you just blast through that. You just kind of make a straight line, and you can really find a lot of speed there. Koenigsegg, who do we have in the Koenigsegg? Here we go. Ooh, you're getting a little bit, I guess that was really more so me than him that was driving up. These elimination races can be interesting. I mean, obviously now there's just no challenge left. I'm already in the lead, but let's just see how big of a lead I can get. It's interesting to watch how good do I blast through this. So this over here, none of that's off track. Like I said, I'm trying to keep it on track. Pretty well anything, like even that, all that is on track. The really bizarre thing is this section here where the pylons are actually what are dictating on or off track. In this game, you just drive right over the pylons, of course, but they still are there, indicating where we are or aren't on track for this particular circuit. Interesting. Not a lot of other circuits have pylons, I don't think. Huh. Maybe they do, and I just haven't really been paying attention, but anyway, woo! Even that was not off track. Okay. Stage 8 elimination done. So this one... Yeah, I made another mistake on this one. Well, actually, it doesn't really matter. In my other video, I finished this way too fast. I'm sure I had a higher speed target than that one. Like I said, it's interesting. Even running flat out, fully upgraded, you get lower targets. So, it's just interesting how it works. And we're blasting through these screens pretty quickly. We're not going to do this whole race. No way. It's just way too long. No reason to do the whole race. But if you're having trouble, I'll show you a bit. So I'm on the brakes pretty early there, because you want to blast through this. And then here, ooh. In this car, even with these upgrades, I have to get on the brakes pretty early. About where I was in my other video, actually. Yeah, I'm using approximately the same braking points. That was a lot more controlled. Okay, maybe not. I have trouble at these two corners. That corner there and this next corner, definitely have trouble at. Not the greatest at. but then I make up for it in the chicane and the bus stop. That's where I do very good. That last corner was actually pretty good though. I feel good about that one. And all that was allowed. That's all on track. You got to pay attention to where it is. And we're definitely not going to do all this race. We're going to be warping ahead here in just a little bit with a pretty obvious warp screen so you can see that it actually happened. Just on the exit of this corner, we'll enter into the warp zone. There we go. Done with our warping, and you can see I got a pretty huge lead. Not a problem. The most difficult thing will be getting to the last couple of races there. This was really difficult with lower upgrades, mainly because you're encountering Magnus at this S's section, whereas here he's not in my way at all. So we'll just see how fast I can do this fully upgraded. With low upgrades, I think I had 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 upgrades. I barely made it on time. It was very tricky. And here I've got, I think it's 28. I think that's how many upgrades this car has. Whatever it is, I've got all of them. So I'm fully upgraded in this car. Definitely taking it pretty careful because this lap has to be very good. That was pretty good. I don't mind that. I mean, probably could have been a bit faster, but here you'll notice this is where you can really get some speed. And look at that. Like, that's all on track. All of that is on track. Although that was racer close to going off track, honestly. But that's where you make up time. And that's why I love it when this circuit is in these events, because the bots, the AI programming is horrible here. So it's very easy to do well on stages that take place at Porsche short track. Except for the dynamic circuit. Well, that was really no trouble. I had over 4 seconds left over. Whereas last time, I think I had less than 1 second left over. Like, I think it was half a second. Okay, so we're back at Nürburgring. And back in another elimination race at the short variant. And yeah, I got really nasty in my other video here because that's what you had to do in order to, ooh boy, that's what you kind of had to do that with low upgrades, with 11 upgrades. You don't have to get nasty here. I could be really patient. I don't know that I want to be. So getting kind of rough with the Koenigsegg there and with the Lamborghini. And we have got, what's Chen driving here? That's a Bugatti, right? Yes. So I could do a big bump pass here, but I don't really need to. I can just take it easy on Chen. Oh, he's shutting the door on me. No problem. Drive nicely. Oh, little tag. Didn't mean to do that. I was trying to get an outside overtake there. And here I'm just messing him up for the fun of it. And oops, sorry, Chen. But I'll play nice. I'll get it back to you. Not for much longer, of course. No, at this point, I'm sure I've totally smashed up my windshield. I'm kind of having some fun this time around. None of that is necessary. Oh yeah, totaled my car. None of that is necessary to finish this race with these upgrades. I'm just messing around. And we probably have just one more lap to go, and the race should end right at that hairpin that I just went through. Again, I really don't like this track very much. You can actually drive through the back. Oh, I should have tested this. There's a crazy flying thing you can do at this track where you back up into a wall and into a fence, and it goes right through your car, and then the game starts to swallow you and then it spits you straight up. And if you pause it, you end up really high above Nürburgring, and you can look down over the whole variant. It's kind of a funny glitch that still exists. It used to exist in a few places in the game, well, one other place, and they got rid of it because you could actually go over 1,000 kilometers an hour in a speed record event. This is this weird one where it's autocross with an average speed. I find that strange, but interesting. It's creative, whatever. Okay, so this is pretty simple. I should be hitting speed pretty soon. Come on now. Oh, there we go. And that's, yeah. I mean, honestly, nothing, no challenge here at all. So there we go. And let's see what we have left here. This is where it started to get difficult. This was the impossible one without buying certain upgrades. And watch this. This is ridiculous. Like, I'm gaining on him right away versus my other video where he's driving away in both cases. So this is definitely where your money can disappear and where there's a couple of strategies that become options for you. You cannot pass him. So this is the only race in the entire King of the Ring series you cannot win. I still put down that I won every race because Winning meaning I placed as high as I could. If you win this race, you fail the stage. So finishing second place is as high as I can go. We're not going to do this whole race. You can see, easy, no trouble hanging out with Magnus. In fact, it's really tempting to mess him up. Maybe I'll see if I can smash him up a little bit, do some damage to Magnus, get him all. I like roughing up Magnus, it's fun. I wanted to see if I could get the hatch loose so it would open. You can do that in some cars where you can get the back hatch to open. Quite funny. But of course, if I pass Magnus, this is an instant fail. So you got to be careful you don't get too. Ooh, there goes the windshield. Sorry, the back window. Took out the back window. Let's see you smash him up a little bit more here. See, oh no, don't. Okay, good. You went back on track. Now I've got third place catching up on me. Okay. Come on, Magnus. Let's go. Time to quit messing around. We'll do the rest of this clean. We're gonna skip a lap actually because it's just a joke. There's nothing for me to show you here. It's very easy. That's what I wanted to show you, is that it's very easy. So right as we exit this corner, we're going to do a warp ahead, and that is going to be it for this particular race. All right, so this next race was ridiculously hard with low upgrades because I didn't have enough time or enough runway, kind of both. It's like, to meet speed, I could meet speed in time. No, to meet speed, I had to drive it in too deep and then slam into the wall and then very quickly straighten that out and get to the start-finish line. So, I'm expecting this one to be a lot easier. I definitely can't be doing sliding around like that when we get to the next race though, because the next race is one of those brutal ones where it's like 4 laps with no off-track and no skidding and no damage. So that can be a ridiculous challenge in an event like this. Now, I didn't actually find that all that difficult at substantially lower upgrades than this, like 11 upgrades versus 28. I was able to do it in enough time, driving pretty clean though. So with this many more upgrades, I'll be able to take it pretty easy, most likely, as long as I don't make any stupid mistakes. Of course, I'm talking about the next race. Okay, well, I've already hit speed. No. What did I just see? Anyways, obviously I'm about to hit speed here, and I will go substantially more than I have to, because I'm already hitting it rounding the corner. I was nowhere near hitting it at that point in the other video. That's pretty cool. And all sorts of time left on the clock, 13:12. Oh yeah, this is no problem at all. So yeah, no problem. And then I think we're on to the last race. Are we not? Is this not going to be the 4-lap race? Yes. Okay, so 4 laps, full circuit, and you just got to be careful. Again, we're not going to do the whole race because that's going to get pretty boring. Just got to watch I'm surprised, Magnus. I thought I'd be passing him already. Okay, I better drive this in. Oh, I think I drove it in a little bit too deep. Okay, check this out. See all that? None of that was off track. If it was, I would have failed. Got to be very careful in doing that, though. That was very close to going off track. That definitely was a big waste of time, but I was on the brakes too late, and I don't have the option of throwing the car sideways, so I had to keep it straight. Well, we'll see what that turns into. So my first lap's not going to be very good. In the other version of this, getting 120, I think I was getting 126s for my 3 laps. The first lap, of course, is not as good because you start from a dead stop, so that adds a couple of seconds. But we'll just see here how this lap goes. I'm only going to show you 2 laps. 4 laps of this is going to be quite boring, but we will do this initial lap, and then we'll do 1 more full lap so we can see what my average 3 was. And then we'll do this lap and the last lap. Okay, so I think this is going to be about a 128 to 130. My first lap in the other, with the lesser upgrades, was more like 132, I think. Might have been 134. So let's see how close I am in saying that. Oh, I might be 124, 25, 26. That was pretty close, just into the 128s. Okay, we're warping ahead here. And this time around, I'll take corner 1 properly. On the brakes quite a lot sooner. And then very quick braking point here. Possibly you could get away with less than that, but no reason to push it because there's all sorts of time left over. Like even now, yeah, I've got a lot of time left over to finish this lap. Really not much of a problem here. So yeah, this has kind of been a quicker walkthrough. I'm going to throw the other playlist link. It's not a playlist, it's one super long video. That took me like 11 or 12 hours to make, guys. This one didn't take as long because the racing didn't take as long, and I really chopped back the editing. But it was crazy. It took like just an hour to even save the video. So I might need to upgrade some of my gear. And so this isn't so crazy, but when you're trying to record in high quality and things like that, anyway, it all adds up. Now, getting towards the end of this lap here, getting to that last chicane, and again, just being careful, no off track, even though that and this are allowed. Wasn't off track. And lots of time on the clock. Holy smokes, lots of time on the clock. So obviously my lap times were a lot quicker. Pretty decent. Well, please like and subscribe. Hopefully something there helped you out. Play the other videos popping up here, including some other stuff. Thank you so much for joining me in this video. And yeah, join me for some other videos, all sorts of stuff on my channel. Bye-bye now.